Hi, it's Liz from Lohas Canada. Today, I think it's September the 24th or 25th, 2020. So this is a podcast about knitting and sewing. So I do try to focus more on eco-friendly products in this podcast, from the wool to sewing and knitting, but sometimes I do stray because, say, with a modern swimsuit, it's all made out of plastic, different things like that, but I really do try to focus on more eco-friendly options. So since the last podcast, we did have quite a bit of cloudiness, a lot of rain. We had a big portion, maybe a week or so, of just having it smoky and it just being kind of indoor weather from the wildfires. I live on the west coast of Canada. I live on Vancouver Island. So we were having to stay indoors just because it was so smoky out. So that was really great to get some projects done. I also got into a program, early childhood education, so that was really a last minute thing, and so the last couple of weeks I've just been kind of running around signing paperwork, figuring out what I need to do, and all those great prerequisites. So let's get into some knitting. So what I'm wearing is my little secret crop top by Jessica Maed. I casted this on, I think, last week, and because my school is online, I am able to knit and get that information still absorbed into me, and so it's been non-stop knitting. So I have been using this wool I got. It was from, I think it's from like the Czech Republic or somewhere over there, because it is not in English, and I got it from a yarn supplier who was going out of business, or they were advertising they were going out of business. So I ended up getting some of their skeins just in different colors. So it is 100% cotton, and it they recommend for a 10 by 10 I would use a 3.5 to 4 millimeter needle. So that's, I think, what I used for this. It is 100% cotton, so I would say this is maybe like more like a fingering weight, and I held two of them together. So I casted it on a large for this top. So it's bottom up, so you can really determine how long you want to make it. So this one it used 273 yards of the purple. So the black, I don't know where the tag is, but the black had, I think, less yardage because I used basically 1.5 balls, I think, and I only had 2 balls, so I was really worried about running out. So I did make it a little bit shorter than I would have liked to. I would have liked to have it a little bit longer, but I know with cotton it is going to relax as well. So I haven't blocked it. I haven't even woven in my ends. So what I would do differently for this top is I cast it on the large amount at the bottom because that's how much it would fit, and I worked my way up, and then when I got to the top I was like, I'm not really a large at my bust, I'm a small medium, and so I was like, I'll do the small medium, but I really needed to take in a little bit more stitches, so I should have actually just followed the large and just counted my stitches to figure out how far across I needed to go, because the bust was more about the bust here, not up here. So it's not really ideal. I mean, it depends also on how long your strap lengths are and how much they relax, because I do know on my other one that I made, the cotton really relaxed an inch. So I made them an inch smaller. I haven't blocked it yet, so I'll do that, and I'll hopefully block out pretty nice. But yeah, I need to, it's just maybe an inch below my belly button, so my belly button's here. So we will see how much it relaxes once I actually block it. And it was a nice easy pattern to do. You don't even have to think about it. But I was able to do this pattern because I did finish the other one that I was doing. So this was my third one. And this one is quite cropped, as you can see. And so I did this one first, and then I did this one. So what I did is, it's kind of a Frankenstein version of it. So I started with just black, and I thought, oh, I'll do it in I think I did this in a medium. I was thinking a medium, but I didn't I didn't swatch and I didn't check my gauge or anything, which was very, very silly. I was just looking at the fact and kind of measuring against my first one that I did. My first one was completely different material, like it was a different type of cotton, it was thicker, it was more like a DK weight. So anyhow, so I was just kind of measuring by the ribbing, but of course the ribbing goes out, and when you have two pieces of yarn that you're alternating, it cinches it in. So I did not take that into account. So what I did is I alternated these two colors up to here, and then what I did is just added a third black to this. So I was holding the black between the black and these ones, so it was just a continuous black amount. So I wanted it to be thicker because at the bottom here with this alternating I could actually see through it quite a lot, and I didn't want that for the bust area. Now when I was done it, I also for the straps I also held it in with the 3 yarns, and it makes for a really thick strap, so that may or not be good. It's a little bit cold now here, so we're definitely coming into fall, and so I know when I wore my first top of it, just after an hour of being in the car because it was summer, it just started to like relax like crazy and really start to stretch out. So I don't know how this will feel in the heat, but maybe we'll have to see. Anyhow, I also don't know quite about the bust. The bust it just fits my bust. This is a Frankenstein shirt. Originally, I'll show you the back. It has this black panel in it. So originally when I was knitting it, it did not. Without this black panel, it couldn't even get over my shoulders. So I was like, oh man, what do I do? I'm just not, and I didn't for some reason check along the way. Who knows what was I thinking? So what I started to do is I started to research, maybe I could just like steek cotton. And there was kind of some debates about it because with wools it has those little sharp fibers or sharp teeth, I think is what they called it, and with like say 100% wool, and depending on the type of wool it is, when you steek it, they kind of cross each other and they'll lock each other in, so isn't a big deal. You used to sew it, you know, sew each side and then cut up the middle, and the fibers do that. And cotton doesn't have it. Cotton's very smooth, and this is like that mercerized cotton, so it's actually like treated a bit with a chemical so that it does make it a lot fine. But some people do steek cotton. I did find a couple of blog posts saying that you could do it. So I did get my sewing machines out, I put it on the zigzag stitch, and I did several lines on each side. And before I cut it, so for each side I machine sewed it with a zigzag stitch. So it was like this with the black in the middle, and it was sewn on each side. Then I cut it, and then the reason why this side I think looks so bunk is because some of my stitches did unravel, and I don't know how it didn't catch, but so I just took some needle and thread and just caught some of it before I did anything else, so, and kind of just sewed it together and weaved it together. So it's definitely a Frankenstein. So far so good. I haven't blocked this one either. So this one I'm not too sure if I'm going to keep. I don't wear a ton of crop tops. This one really does just hit me kind of, this one hits me below my bust. I really like this color though and pattern, but I just don't have enough black or this beige color to do another one. But that's really great to keep in my memory for a wheelhouse of color next time I get cotton, maybe next spring. So I can knit one of these a bit longer for in this color wheelhouse. And I do like this. It just took me forever. So this was my first alternating color scheme type thing using color work. So I really liked it. But once I got to this, it was just so much easier because it's just a straight, after you get done the ribbing at the bottom, it's just a straight knit all the way up. So I did, this one seemed to take forever, and then this one kind of flew. So that is that. And then because I am doing this schooling online, I have been also doing the skirt. And this one's by Skeindeer. So if you haven't seen, in the last couple of podcasts, well, a while ago, I think even last year, I started doing this My Little Black Skirt by Skeindeer. And I finished it. It was pretty short. And it's top down. And I already have the elastic and everything in it because I finished it. It flares out. And I had this sock yarn and then this hemp with hemp in it for the blue. The sock yarn is the black, and I held it double. And what happened was, after I was finished it, I weaved into all my ends. I tried to wear it. It was a bit short. I didn't have any more of the wool left, of the hemp left. So I wasn't too sure what I was going to do. I could wear it with stockings or something. It did look kind of cute. But my style isn't flared out skirts. It went before my knee, and that's just not my style. So the pattern was awesome. So what I did is I just ripped it out and just below or just around my bum section. And so I ripped it out all the way up to here. And I also knitted these. I knitted the original skirt, I think it was bamboo needles, and for some reason I was very, very tense and I broke the bamboo needles. So when I was knitting the skirt originally, I was knitting just with these, like, this one short little tip of a needle because it just broke. And so for this, I picked up some metal needles, and they're not my favorite. They're definitely different on your hands and the way it feels, and I do feel like I'm a bit slower just within metal needles, and they are very smooth to knit with, but I think I do like that grip. And even though it's the same size cable, then the needles aren't the same size, I don't think, but it's you can definitely tell the difference, or at least I can tell the difference. I think it's the same size. Anyhow, I'm knitting way tighter regardless. Maybe they're not the same size, but I can definitely tell from where my previous line is from where I knitted to where I have started knitting. So I have knitted about maybe an inch and a half this last week, just because I just started knitting on this yesterday. But yeah, I made that decision that I just wasn't going to wear it. So my plan for this is to kind of get me down near maybe halfway down my thigh. I have already sectioned off one on each corner, and about every fourth row I am taking in a stitch on either side. So what I was thinking is that, because I'm past my hips area, and so I'm just past the hips area, so I slowly want to taper it in. I'm still debating of how, so say if I get down to half my thigh area, if what I want to do then is a slit, so I could just then work the rest of it flat. But I'm still debating. I'm going to keep on trying this one on as I go, just so that I don't get it too tight in the legs, so I'm not able to move. Because I will have to find a point where either I go in further, or maybe I stopped going in and it just goes down, but I need my legs to be able to move. So that's why I was thinking if I had a slit, even maybe if it was just an inch, depending on how long this will go, because I'm also going in, I'm not flaring it out, I'll have more fabric to work with. So if it does go down to my knee, then I can do at least like a 3-inch slit or something, just so that I do have room to move, even though it is pretty stretchy and flexible, like, fabric. It's still really good to have that slit, is what I think. So it's going to take me a while to complete that, and I'm hoping I'm hoping like once I block it out a little bit, then maybe the stitches will intermingle together a little bit more. It won't be such a visible line. But it's also like right around my hip area, so I think unless you're really looking up close, you probably won't be able to tell. So I only have that one on the needles, and then I finished this yesterday, was off the needles, and I was thinking, you know what, this one is so easy to make. I'm on a roll. I have still cotton. So I'm using the blue and this beige, and we will see how it goes. I just casted it on yesterday, so if I felt like working with these needles, I could. If I felt like working on the skirt, I could do that. So I was thinking though, what I might do is modify this pattern just so that I keep the same, I'm casting on the same large thing at the bottom. What I would like to do is have the straps here a bit thicker, and maybe even this further up, or figure out the neckline, maybe even just do a different neckline. So I attach the back and the front together. It's going to use up more yarn, and I'll have to see how much yarn I got. I also need to make better decisions on how much yarn I buy. Obviously, I'm not buying enough for my patterns, and I need, I think, more basic colors. Like this purple is really nice and beautiful, and I'm drawn to certain colors like the blue, but I'm looking in my wardrobe and seeing that maybe I don't wear a ton of it. I like more muted down ones, or maybe just even an accent one. Like I bought 3 balls of this purple, now I still have 2 balls left, right? So I could have just maybe bought one and used it and just add a fun pattern in it or a fun accent to it. Alright, we will get into some sewing. I really don't have too much for sewing to show you, but I did want to show you a tool. I got it a couple weeks ago, or maybe more than a month ago, and I forgot to show it to you. It was when I bought the Blackbird fabric, the swimsuit fabric. I ended up seeing this set. I think I'm missing one of the chopstick looking things. And I got it because I was kind of getting frustrated. It's a loop turner basically. And I have seen other people use it just because I do not like to turn loops. I understand it. So what the thing is, I have this. And it is a great tool, and it's pretty inexpensive. The other ones weren't that expensive either, so it's pretty comparable. So I don't know if you can see that. Basically, it's just a piece of metal with a little loop thing attached at the top, and so you would just on a loop like a spaghetti strap, or maybe I would use them for the bread bags if I'm making like some ties. And so if you had a loop, so you had like say the sewn, and then you wanted to turn it right side out, you would put this in. Sorry, this piece isn't sewn, but you get the gist of it. You hook this little hook onto your fabric. Now, depending on what type of fabric you were using, sometimes it would poke holes into it while you were turning it, and it kind of make the hole a bit bigger. So I didn't like that. And depending on how long your loop was, how long this was, it really sometimes, I found, especially like working with linen, because it's not necessarily a tighter weave than cotton, like say the quilting cotton or even this type of just muslin cotton, it's got a pretty tight weave. So with the linen, when I was turning the loops, sometimes halfway through, it would just sometimes, I don't know how, it would just unloop, and this would just pull out and be like, oh crap, and so you kind of have to go in there and try to re-loop it or take it all out, and it was just, it was a hassle. So when I saw that Blackbird fabric had this, it was super easy. You got 3 different sizes, and just depending on the thickness of what you were working on, and it does give you instructions at the back of how you put this in first, I think, and then you're basically just turning it inside out. But I've been doing it on really long loops, really short loops, and they've been working way, way, way faster than the loop turner. So I know the loop turner is, the metal one is like the staple. I've, you know, seen and heard people talk that they would hang the loop of this, the bottom part of it, up on something on a wall, and then you can like put it up there and then kind of, you know, work your way down and twist it, and that's a great option too. I just don't have that set up. It probably would be a lot easier, but that isn't what I've been doing, or it hasn't really been working for me. This has been way faster. So I just wanted to mention that. I think you get the gist of it. So the only thing that I've been really sewing, because I've been focusing on doing other things right now, is I haven't been sewing that much actually. So I think with this fall weather I'll be, and I'm kind of just trying to find my routine right now. So I'm used to sewing during the day, and that has not been happening. So because I've been having schooling, but I've been trying to do these envelope type style. So I want to do them for cards. So this was the first one that I tried to do, and it's just got a button at the back, and this was just kind of my practice one to figure out the shape of how I would sew it. I had to hand sew it. I do have an older sewing machine that could probably go through this, so I don't have to hand sew it on the sides. But that was my first one, and then what was my second one? Then this one was my second one. So I did the embroidery on my embroidery machine, and then got that going. This one I put also a little button on it. Doesn't have any words or anything. I wanted to try that. This one I wanted to try with linen, and I did have to put some muslin in between the linen, just because it made it a bit stiffer if I didn't have it. I ran out of room. I was also trying to play with my words on my embroidery machine with the designs and stuff, and I ran out of room. But this one I haven't put a button on yet. Just like that. And linen, I know that it would probably be better to use interfacing on this, but interfacing is essentially plastic unless I can find maybe some organic interfacing. But I'm trying to do this as eco-friendly as possible. That's why I was like, oh, I'll cut some muslin to put in between, but it did shift a little bit just because linen does shift compared to this is canvas. So I do like the feeling of this. It does feel a lot more sturdier than this, but I do like I think the color scheme and just kind of how it's marbled. Then I did this one because I ended up getting my embroidery machine correct. I don't love the font, but I do like the owl. The owl came with the embroidery machine, so I'm also was looking into all the embroidery stuff. I can do a video probably maybe about the embroidery machine, and I have a USB port so I can buy designs, put it in the machine, upload them. If I wanted to do my own designs, I would have to buy software for it, just because if you look at the owl, the embroidery machine has like, I think it's 7 different colors in this. So if you wanted to do maybe just do a solid color, I'd have to look. I could probably just make up the file. But if you wanted to do multiple colors like this, then that's really when you need the embroidery machine software so that it can separate those colors. You can actually draw pictures and then on the machine software select what colors, like not select the colors, but I mean you can import your colors as well, but select that which portion will be different colors. So that is all that I have done for my sewing. It's pretty sad, but you know, I just go through different changes and different phases of what is happening in our lives. And also the weather. The weather plays a huge part of what's going on, and if you feel like you're going to stay indoors or get outdoors and do something. So those are my sewing and knitting things. I hope you are also enjoying this transition. I know in our first week of school we were talking about stress, and it was they put an interesting TED Talk into it, talking about how this lady was talking to people about stress and how stress can be bad for you. And then in the TED Talk, she mentioned that they were starting to do studies that if people believed stress was bad for them, then they would actually have harm to their body done because they believed that the effects of stress were causing it and contributing to it. She started having to reteach, saying like, yes, there's going to be some stresses in your life. You know, not all stress is bad. Stress can be a great motivator as well because it drives you and pushes you to get things done. So it's more about mindset. So that was quite interesting to learn about that. I do work a little bit better with structure within my life. So it has been interesting just kind of getting the swing of things of school again and kind of getting all the crafty stuff going and just seeing how the rest of the year goes. So I will do, once I am done, I think, this other top, I do have some more of the purple and maybe the blue, depending on how long I make this shirt, left, so of cotton. So that would be my only cotton. So I think I might do some little cotton projects, but I might be switching over to wool too, just depending on the weather, if it gets a little bit nicer or a little bit cooler we're heading into now. I do have the woodlark shawl by Fiber Tales that I do want to make. So I have all that yarn and I have the needles for it, and I just need to actually do it, but I want to get these two projects done finished first. I might just get the shirt done and then cast on the shawl, but there are, you know, the wintry projects that we do want to get done, so we will see how it goes, and I hope you guys are all doing well from wherever you are, and I'll chat with you later. Bye!